So here we are. This is now a new course that we're coming up with. We're just finishing IS 502 and we're moving into IS 503. And for those of you who know what we're talking about, this is the course on Muhammad himself. There's so much that we have to unpack on Muhammad. And that's why we're dedicating an entire course just to this man, the Prophet of Islam. Now, we're going to be going through 8 different lectures starting on Monday, October the 21st. That's correct. That means very soon. We're just talking about another week or two, October the 21st, Monday. We're we're finishing the IS 502 on October the 14th, the very next Monday. We move right into Muhammad. And the reason why is because we've got to get finished before Christmas so people can get home and enjoy that holiday. So it will start on Monday, October the 21st. It will continue right through November, and it will finish on Monday, December the 9th. Those where the lectures are. And both Daniel and myself will be doing these lectures. Now, Daniel will be doing the first 4 lectures, and then I will be following with the last 4 lectures. And the reason for that is because I'm going to be traveling. And so we need to make sure that he gets those that while I'm traveling, and then I get the last 4 while I'm in the States. But it just so happens these are primarily the lectures we teach anyways. So it's not going to be much of a change. But what I like to do, and this is something that's important, is to remind people that these are for Christians only. These courses are for Christians only. I know some of you get really upset that you say, well, why is it only for Christians? As I say, in every one of these courses, it's because we're teaching at a seminary, Veritas International University. And so because we're doing that, we need to make sure that only Christians, if you know that Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior, and you believe that he died on the cross to save your sins, please join up. We'd love to have you. Now, also, this is a very controversial course because we're going to be looking at some of the difficulties. In fact, it's going to be a very critical course of Muhammad. I say that from the get-go. So this is not for everybody. This is not for anybody who just wants to come up and learn how great a man he is. No, we're not going to be doing that. We'll be doing it from a critical standpoint. So listen, before you do anything, though, you do need to register, and you need to register before October the 21st. There it is right there at the bottom. It's info@ves.edu. So just go to info@ves.edu. And we're doing it in 3 categories. As you all know, the first category is for the master students. Daniel, what is a master student? What is entailed there?
Well, with a master student, of course, you're taking it for credit and three regular semester credits. So we have the 8 weeks of lecture, and then you have another 7 weeks to finish up. And usually that entails doing a research paper and a final exam essay. But during the 8 weeks, in order to keep up, you'll be doing the reading, and we're going to specify which books you'll be reading for this course, and you'll be doing a reflection paper on the reading or the videos that the lectures that you watch, and you'll be doing a discussion with other students, and also a reading journal. So that's the writing that you'll do during the first 8 weeks just to keep up. Those are short papers, but they will help you articulate what you are learning.
Yeah.
So that's for the MA student, and that is for a master's degree as part of our MAPI program.
Master of Art in Apologetics and Polemics to Islam. So really, that's the main reason we're doing these courses. And the cost for that is $330 per credit unit. There are 3 credit unit, so it's roughly a thousand plus the administrative cost. So it comes between 1,300 and 1,500 per course. Now, we don't just do for Master of Arts students, do we, Daniel? There's another. What's the next category?
Next category is audit students, and this is really a valuable slot for students who want to learn the material, but they don't want the master's degree or to do all that reading or writing,
Yeah.
though we give them the opportunity to do whatever they want. They will have access to the online course, so all the different materials that we put up, the PowerPoints, the videos, the links, a lot of other resources, and you can also participate in the discussions that take place online. That's for the audit student.
During the week, which is great because then they can participate with the master students and with each other. But there's still, and for that group of students, the entire course costs just $325. Okay, the
Right.
entire course. And you get everything that the master students get as far as what is given to you every week after we do the recordings. We record the lecture. I then will send it to you the very next day or the day after. I will send not only the lecture, but also the PowerPoints and any other PDFs. There's lots of PDFs that are auxiliary, that are supplementary to the lectures. I'll send you as well. So that's the first two categories. But then there's a third category, and this is personal enrichment student. These are students, some of you who are you are on the field, you're in the mission field. You don't want to have to participate during the week. You just want to show up on the Monday evenings for those lectures. And those Monday evenings are always at 8 o'clock at night, Eastern Standard Time. So that's 8 o'clock on the Eastern Coast of the United States. But you're way over somewhere else in another part of the world. And so you do want to hear those lectures, but you don't really need to participate in the discussions during the week because you're busy working in your mission field. And that is so therefore for those people who are just want to come on Monday nights, because we do, Daniel and I will be there. We always promise we will be there for every lecture. And even if I'm traveling, I will be there. And if Daniel's traveling, we will be there. But then we have 2 hours of lecture, and then we always open it up to Q&A so that you can throw questions at us. This is one of the things we promise. We want to be on hand so that you have access to us. And that may take an hour or 2 hours. Sometimes we have gone for 4 hours, haven't we, Daniel? In those kind of, because
Rarely, usually 3 hours, and the discussion is rich.
it's
It is
rich. Yeah.
really good.
Because we're getting from people from 23 different countries. You can see why it's so good. We learn as much as those who are asking the questions. So that is for personal enrichment, and a personal enrichment student only pays $225 for the entire course. Now, let's get into the courses. What are the different lectures? Daniel, go ahead and help us with the first four. What is it you're going to be teaching?
I will be doing the first four lectures, and Jay will be doing the last four. And but Jay will be participating in the earlier ones as well. But the first one, of course, is an introduction to Muhammad. This is October 21st, the first one. We'll be looking at the biographies. We'll be critiquing some of the popular biographies, and we'll be looking also at the historical problems of these biographies. So it's a good introduction to a lot of the literature that you may have read before or that you would need to know as we get into Muhammad and try to tease away the Muhammad of tradition and the Muhammad of actual history. And we'll go further in that with the part two, which is the next week. We'll look at the classical account of Muhammad's life, said to be from 570 to 632 AD. So we'll look at the Sirah. So I will be taking parts. Okay. So this will be the Sirah that I will be looking at, or really just encapsulating, because I want to help you understand what the Muslim side of Muhammad is. And we'll also look at a number of the hadith, the so-called stories about Muhammad that were written 150 to 200 years later, or even later than that. But we need to know what the Muslims believe. So that second week is really focusing on the Muhammad of the standard Islamic narrative. And then the third week, part three, we'll be looking at Muhammad and the people of the book. And this is actually one that we will want you to purchase, because it is a summary of the traditional, but it also brings in critical reviews of the Sirah, the earliest biographies and the traditional biographies. And so we'll be looking at this particular book and the stories, as well as a number of other critical views of Muhammad. And I'll also be doing a section on John of Damascus and his view of Muhammad. He was the first apologist to the Muslims. he wrote what was called the heresy of the Ishmaelites shortly after all of this happened. So we really learn a lot from John of Damascus. And that was my PhD work. So I am excited to deal with that. And then part four, we'll look at the Christian assessment of Muhammad. We'll look at what the qualifications for a prophet would be and how Muhammad would fit in with that. We'll look at the different passages in the Bible from Deuteronomy, Song of Solomon, the New Testament, in what the arguments would be from the Muslim side when they say, oh, well, your Bible talks about Muhammad. And we'll see what the Bible really says about those things. So we'll look at a biblical critique as well in part four. And then, Jay, you've got the other four.
Yeah. So from that, by that time, I'll be back in the States again. And so we're going to then dive right into the relevancy of Muhammad on the fifth week. That's November the 18th. Looking and seeing whether or not he was just a specific prophet for the Islam, or was he a universal prophet for everybody? Looking to see whether he was a peaceful prophet or was he a violent prophet. We're going to ask the question of what he did with women, or what he did with his own elevation. Did he have a special status that was unique just for him? Looking at the problems of his sin, and then also looking at this big debate that's going on is what about all of these embarrassing things about Muhammad? How could they have made it up if this was not historical? This will segue into what we're going to do in part six, the sixth week. Because at the sixth week, we're going to ask that very question, the historical question. The fifth week is looking at the internal part of Muhammad, all the things, all you might say the bad breath of Muhammad, everything that's wrong with Muhammad, his relevancy. The sixth week, we're going to look at the external critique, which says, did he even exist? That's right. We're going to ask that question. Did Muhammad even exist? Some of you may laugh. You may think this is rather ridiculous. And yet, folks, we're going to look at just that question. Now, we're going to come to some conclusions, but in order to do that, I'm going to start looking at some evidence from the 7th century, looking at coins. I'll be looking at rock inscriptions. I'll be looking at the extant manuscripts of everything we know about Muhammad, the Sirah, the Hadith, the Tafsir, the Tahri, the Sahabas or the Tabiuns, all these supposed first generation witnesses. I'm going to shut that down on the sixth week, the sixth lecture. And then we're going to ask the question, all right, if he did not exist, who then are all these Muhammads that we find in the 7th century? They're all over the place. Who are they exactly? Wait till you find out what we now know. But that's going to have to wait till November the 25th. From then, on the seventh lesson, we're going to bring it to the 21st century. And we're saying, hold on a minute. This Muhammad is very controversial even today. We're going to look at those controversies, the iconicism of Islam, the whole thing with Jillian Poston Muhammad cartoons that came out in 2005, the Innocence of Muslim movie that came out in 2012, the controversy that surrounded the Charlie Hebdo cartoons in 2015, and some current controversies that are coming out even as we speak. And ask the question, why all these controversies today? What's going on? Who then is Muhammad for Muslims today? That's the seventh week. The eighth week then is our final week. And we're going to do a comparisons. If we have Muhammad on this side, we as Christians have Jesus on this side. Let's do a comparison. And in the last week, we're going to do that, looking for the real Muhammad versus the real Jesus. We're not going to do necessarily a historical critique at this time. We're going to look and see who is the better man, who is the better model, who is the better paradigm. Now you know where I'm going to go with this, but we are going to help you to use this in your own apologetics and in your own polemics. So it's a good way to kind of bring Jesus into the picture to show what a better model and testimony for not only us, but for the rest of the world to follow. So those are the 8 weeks. Now, obviously, we're starting on the 21st of October, so we're starting in just a few days. You need to register. It's right there at the bottom. You can see where you need to register. We'd love to have you. This is a course that Daniel and I have taught 2 times already. This is the third time we're teaching it, but we have some brand new material that we've never taught before. You'll see what that is. Brand new material. That's the beauty of these kind of courses. We're always adding. Every lecture that Daniel does is going to be a new lecture with new added material. So we don't keep stagnant. So it's even if you've had it before, you will be learning new things as we go through this time. So come aboard with us. We'd love to have you. Daniel, this is going to be fun, isn't it? We're talking about
It
just
will certainly, yeah, it'll certainly be fun and it'll be quite an adventure with all that new material that's coming out. I'm
It's
looking
coming
forward
out fast and furious.
to
One of
dealing
the
with
books
that.
that we're going to introduce is this book here by Robert Spencer, which is only a few weeks old. This is a critical analysis of both the internal and the external critique, both internally looking and seeing the Muhammad that Muslims follow today, but asking the second question, and that is, did he even exist? So we're going to be introducing that in some of this. It's only been out a few weeks, and yet we've got to be on top of it and share it with you because the evidence that's coming to the fore is so fast and furious. We need to keep on top of it. You need to keep on top of it. Come along with us so that you can enjoy it with us. All right, Daniel, anything last you want to say?
No, it's just that this is the course that is so important because we all want to know who Muhammad was and how relevant he is today and what really happened back in the seventh century. So this is a key course for you.
Who Muhammad was, or if Muhammad was. That's what we're going to
Yes.
ask. And let's see if we'll come to an answer on that. Come and join us. God bless you. It's great to have you. We can't wait to be with you. As many of you who do register show up on the first night because that's the night you introduce yourself to everybody else. And that's why we want to have as many people as possible on October the 21st. Even if you're in the middle of Africa or the middle of Europe or you're fast asleep, 1 or 2 in the morning, try to wake up just to introduce yourself so that we can meet you because we do want to see this as a family venture together. We do love having these relationships with so many of you, even though we are maybe thousands of miles away. And I'm going to try to get to see everybody face to face in all these travels that I do. I'm speaking to you from London. I'm here with a whole slew of people here in London who I have just been meeting in the last 2 weeks. God bless you. It's great to have Daniel on board. We love teaching together. Two different styles of teaching, and yet we both enjoy bouncing things off each other and learning from each other and teaching you everything that we learn. God bless you. This is Jay and Daniel.
And
Right now,
Daniel.
3,000 miles apart. But when we see you in a few weeks, we'll be, well, still over 3,000 miles apart, looks like. Until then, Jay and Daniel, over and out.